Hey, how's it going? Welcome to our weekly live. An hour earlier than scheduled. I apologize about that. I've got somewhere I've got to drive to and be at a certain time, and I got to set off bang on 2 p.m. UK, which is the time we usually do our free coaching Thursday. So a slightly earlier edition today, 1 p.m. UK instead of 2 p.m. So I don't know if anybody can make it or not. If you're watching the replay, hit me with a hashtag replay. So what I usually do on these calls every single week is answer your questions. I know what it's like to be in a situation where you want to build your business, you want to know what you're missing, you want to know what needs to be done to generate leads, convert those leads, build a team, duplicate all the rest of it. So I take some time every single week to say, hey, if you've got a question, if you need some help with something, meet me here 2 p.m. UK, which is 9 a.m. Eastern time. And let me know your question. So if you have a question, just type it in the comments. I'm going to get it. I'm going to give you a direct answer. Let's get you moving forward and get you the help that you need. So what I'll do first of all, I don't think I have any questions that someone has asked earlier in the week. I'll check on that in a second. I'll cover a topic that I think will be really useful for you. And then hopefully as I'm talking, someone will ask some questions. If not, it'll be a really quick live stream. So let me give you this topic that I think is really useful. I was just talking to a lady on LinkedIn, and she said, I really resonate with your story, Richard, because my upline believes I should prospect everybody, like anybody within 3 feet physically, maybe a little bit larger these days, but online, like my friends, my family, anybody I meet, I should be prospecting them. And I disagree with that. I really disagree with that. Let me tell you why. This will take a lot of pressure off you and leave some space for you to actually do better things. So I was looking around when I first started network marketing, and I was like, you know what? Why in our industry are companies not using the same type of marketing methods that are working really, really well in many other types of industries? Like, why is it that we have to have this pressure of, we're going to a restaurant tonight. I want to enjoy that meal. I don't want to walk into the restaurant and think, oh, how can I prospect the person that's seating us? How can I prospect my waitress or waiter? How can I prospect the chef or the manager? And on the way out, if I meet somebody, how can I prospect them? I don't always want to feel like I've got to kind of squeeze a square peg into a round hole every silly situation in my life. I want to be free and have the freedom to enjoy myself. And if I have a conversation with somebody and they think they're suitable, I may ask them the question, I may not. But nobody, who likes having that pressure of constantly having to focus like that? Nobody does, right? So I was looking at other industries and saying, okay, these people who are really successful, they have one thing in common, and that is that they focus their efforts and energies on having the right people be introduced to their business or product. You wouldn't see Apple spending a fortune on their marketing to try and convince people that hate mobile phones to buy a mobile phone. They'd rather upsell somebody that has a mobile phone and say, here's the latest version, right? Or here's a bigger version, or here's a new software update, whatever, right? That's what they do because it makes sense to do that. So it's the same in a network marketing business. If right now you're spending at all any time, especially the majority of your time, on people where they haven't signified, they haven't raised their hand and said, yes, I'm interested in what you've got, that is you playing a game that has very low conversions, right? I always give the example of a vegetarian, right? If you're someone that's selling steak, you have the best steak in the world, and you try and sell that at a vegetarian convention, doesn't matter that there's thousands of people in that. Well, there wouldn't be these days, right? But let's say back in the old days, there was thousands of people in that convention. You could ask each and every one of them, I've got the best steak, no one's going to buy it because they're just not interested. There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with you or the product. It just doesn't connect. And this is the problem I see in network marketing. It's like, oh, I should prospect everybody, anybody. Absolutely. Well, there's no need to do that because you're going to spend the majority of your time trying to convince people who are square that they need to fit into a round hole. And that's a long, arduous, painful task. It's far, far better to go out there and attract and find people that have signified an interest. How do you do that? Let me give you some practical tips. So first of all, when you prospect, start to learn to only do targeted prospecting. not just like anybody, targeted prospecting. So any conversations you're having, you know there's an increased probability that that person will say, actually, I'm looking for something like this. It's a much better conversation than, actually, I have no interest. Well, let me convince you why you do, right? It doesn't feel good. And I see Aisha, that's the question. I'll definitely come to that question for sure. Also, the content that you put out there. Content is the smart long game. Prospecting is the short game that gives you eyes on what you're doing now. That's eyes on what you're doing. I don't know what that means. That's people looking at you through the screen. But content is the long game. YouTube content, blog content, a sales funnel, all this stuff that you can put out there and you can have long term. People can find you through that, and they have to have an interest. Like if I go onto YouTube, and if you see my YouTube videos, right, they're very specific towards network marketers. How network marketers can generate my favorite 3 sources for generating network marketing leads. Well, if you click on that video to watch it, you're a network marketer, right, who wants leads. So I know that's someone who's going to be a great fit for my product and services. So I know anybody that's watching that and reaches out to me through my YouTube videos or my podcast or my content has kind of pre-qualified them. And you can do the same. If you start to put out content, which is like bait and value, it's bait that is only going to attract somebody that likes that bait, you know that you're bringing the right people to you. Like how many people right now on here, you can say if you want, or you don't have to in the comments, how many of you are regularly, consistently putting out YouTube content, podcast content, blog content on a regular weekly basis? I wonder if any of you are actually doing it at all, because I understand it takes time and effort. I get that it's not always, oh, great, Richard, you're full-time. I'm not full-time. How can I find the time to do that? I would shave off some time from another activity and start to even just put 1 or 2 videos out there a week. Because what happens is you may do, but it's unlikely you'll see a fast burst of growth. But a month from now, 2 months from now, 6 months from now, how fast is this year gone? We're 10 months into it already, right? 10 months from now, you'll be really, really glad that you took my advice on that. Because all of a sudden, you'll start to get a regular trickle, without you doing anything extra, of messages. Hey, I saw your YouTube video. I wanted to ask you more questions. Hey, I saw your YouTube video. I opted into your funnel. This is going to start to build and build and build. Whereas with prospecting, the second you stop messaging or the second you stop calling or whatever method you're using is the second that it all stops. Whereas with content, I get leads and sales on a daily basis from videos I did years ago. And it snowballs. The more videos you have out there, the more bait you have out there, the more fish you're going to catch, of the right type of fish. So it just makes sense to do that. So please, please, please be specific in your audience. No point in you surrounding yourself with a whole bunch of people that don't have slim to none chance of saying yes to you. No matter how good your communication, no matter how good your product or business, if it isn't a fit for them, you can't sell a pair of size 9 shoes to someone who's a size 6. No matter how you dress it up, they're going to be like, no, I need a size 6. Size 9s just aren't comfortable for me. Why would I pack the shoe and have them flop around and look stupid on my feet when I can just buy a size 6? This is in network marketing. Everyone's trying to sell one size shoes. It doesn't fit all, okay? So I see a couple of questions. Hopefully that was helpful to you. Was that useful? Maybe now think about, okay, where do I cast the bait? Who do I focus on? Let me do some content. Let me be specific and targeted. Will save you a lot of wasted time. I hope that's helpful. If you need any more advice on that, just reach out to me. So let me start with Isha's question. How are you doing? Thank you for your attention. I'm glad that you made it. It's not a great feeling to only connect with people because you want them to join your team. Suddenly you're not genuinely interested in them. It ruins relationships too. That's a great point, Aisha. That's a great point. It feels dirty, doesn't it? Even though you've got a good business. Like, I've never joined a network marketing company and been like, well, this is terrible, but I'll promote it anyway for the money. That's never been me. I've always, and I'm sure it's not you either, I've always looked at the business and the product and been like, okay, it's not like the best in the world. I don't have to do like the rah-rah and the pom-poms. I've never been that guy, but it's definitely quality product. It's definitely a quality opportunity. I'm happy to promote it to people. But then you have that weird feeling. It's like at the back of your neck, your hairs stand up. And you're trying to, You're talking, you're having a pleasant conversation with somebody. Like, let's take it at a restaurant, maybe someone sat at the next table, you strike up a little conversation with them, right? Straight away, you're like, network marketing, is up there. And it just doesn't feel good, does it? Not only for them, it doesn't feel good for you. You're having this pleasant conversation. You're not discussing, which you wouldn't do with someone you just met. You're not discussing their financial status. You're not discussing how fat or thin they are. I mean, who does that? You're like, in the back of your mind, I used to be like, how am I going to get health into this conversation? How am I going to get money into this conversation? And I got really good at doing it, but it didn't make it feel any better. I remember this one time when I was actually coming back from an event. They're the worst for making you do stupid stuff, right? And you'd go to a physical event, 10,000 people in a room. There's nothing like 10,000 people chanting and for you to be like, yes, I'm going to go big when I get home. So I'm in the airport on the way home. I think it was Amsterdam. Can't remember where it was now. I've been to an event. I was on my way, maybe even Serbia. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I was on my way home from an event and I'm in the airport. And I noticed the lady serving food. She had a bit of chit chat with each person. I'm thinking she's good at small talk. If she's good at small talk, she'll be good at prospecting. She'll be good in my business. And I'm all hyped up from the event. So she just wants some small talk, and I'm, chatting. Next thing, I'm like, hey, do you keep your options open? And all the queue's looking at me like, who is this weirdo? She's suddenly looking at me. He's like, do you want brown or white bread? What are you even talking about? Then I gave her like a business card. That's how useless it was back then. Here's my business card. Give me a call if you ever change your mind. I just didn't feel good. Like walking off, everybody looking at me in the restaurant like, what is he even talking about? The lady behind the counter's like, what are you talking about? It didn't ruin the meal for me, but I was like, why can't I just enjoy myself? Why do I feel this constant pressure on my shoulder? People on stage, prospect everybody, prospect everybody. If you want it hard enough, you'll prospect everybody. I'm like, that's not how business is done. I don't want everybody in my team. Some people aren't looking for that. They just want a bit of light relief from the job that she's doing. She just wants a bit of pleasant conversation. And I'm trying to force her into my team so I can make some money. I didn't like that feeling. So I get what you're saying. Straight away when you're in a relationship with somebody, in an existing relationship, people teach you in this industry that you should leverage that relationship. Leverage is a great word, right? Financial leverage, time leverage. These are great words that I teach, right? In my Home Business Accelerator program, how to leverage your time, how to leverage things, right? But I don't like it when it's in terms of like a relationship. Leverage that trust to get someone to say yes to something they wouldn't usually say yes to. I just don't think that doesn't sit well with me. I'm sure it doesn't sit well with you. And the good news is if you're around with me, you don't have to do that. I'm telling you not to do that. I'm telling you to pick an audience, a specific audience that you would enjoy working with and would enjoy your product, who through certain indications of their behavior, they're going to have an elevated interest in what you do. So now when you broach that subject in that conversation, online, it's a whole different ballgame. If I'm a vegetarian, right? So if I'm not really like outspoken about it. I'm not someone who campaigns for anything like that. But let's say I was. Let's say I'm a friend of yours and I'm always campaigning about vegetarianism, right? Now, if you come to me and you say, hey, I got something that's specific to vegetarianism, like through my behavior and through my actions, I've raised my hand and said I have an elevated interest in that subject. So now it fits. Now I'm going to thank you for letting me know. Oh yeah, you know me. I'm all in with that subject. So thank you for thinking of me, right? That's the difference between me going, okay, well, I can sort of see why you'd message me, but never give you any inclination that I would have an interest in that. I guess you just want to make money from me. We don't want to be that person, right? So great point, Aisha. Yeah, you don't have to feel that way. You can just use targeted prospect, use content and things. I can see some other questions going, which is great. I'll definitely answer all of them. I'm not one of those guys that says, right, I'm going to do a Facebook Live and give you value, and then it's like a 30-minute pitch. Right, I just give you the direct answers. I want you to get the help. So Shirley's asking the question, how you doing, Shirley? I hope you're well. Let's say if you start to do MLM with no success yet, what content would you put out on a consistent basis? Great question. We all face this. That's the good news, Shirley. I've been through this fire. I started out in a brand new industry. Network marketing, had no previous success in it. So how do you become an authority? It's why I named my company Authority Network. My #1 aim is to teach you to feel and know and be an authority, so you can command attention, respect. So all the methods I teach you, it's for you to rise to that level of saying, I'm an authority in this, I'm knowledgeable, I'm professional, and I've got the results to back it up. So how do we start that though when we don't have those results? So what I would say is, you don't have to have results as long as you're not teaching tactics specifically in that area of results, and as long as you're not trying to claim that you do. So for example, let's somebody type in a target market for me, because I want to help you. So maybe Shirley, if type in your target market. I see Marco, Andrew, Aisha's on here. Anybody got a target market for me? I can do this with any target market, okay, to prove it works. So someone in the comments just type in a target market would be a specific type of person that I'm going to create content for. Mums, okay. So let's say mums. And let's go even more specific, because I would always, and there's lots of mums, I would go even more specific. So let's say we'll start with mums, and we'll go with single. I was raised in a single parent family. Let's go single parent mums who are single parent mums, right? That's even more specific, okay? Millennials, I could do it with millennials too. So I'll give you 2 examples. Stay at home. So let's say stay at home. We've got all the different. Thank you for your engagement. So let's go with stay at home single mums. So I can try and engage all that. And they're a millennial as well. So she's a young single mum who's staying at home and she wants to work. Maybe she's part-time. So we've got really specific. We've incorporated all of that. So what would I do if that was my target market? I may find it challenging because I'm not personally in that market. That's rule number 1. If you can promote and market to the people who are just like you, it's an accelerated path, because you already know a lot about them. You already can speak the language, the lingo, as it were. But that's not necessary. I could still do this. So I'm going to say, okay, let me go to forums. Let me go to Facebook groups. Let me go to other people who are serving that audience of stay-at-home single mums who want to work, young single mums, millennials, right? So I'm going to go find Facebook groups that serve that audience. I'm going to find other people that are writing books or creating blogs or have a high-performing YouTube channel that serve that audience. And I'm going to look for what their most popular pieces of content are. I walk you through this process in HBA, right? I'm going to go to forums. What's the most commonly asked questions? And I'm going to get from that within one afternoon or one morning. I'm going to have a list of probably 10, 20, 30 topics that particular audience is always wanting solutions to. And then what I'm going to go do is I'm going to find the best possible answers to those 20 or 30 topics. That'll probably take me another day. I'm going to go read a few blogs. I'm maybe going to buy a book, or I'm going to probably easy nowadays. You can just go on YouTube. You can go online. I'm going to look for great answers to those topics. I'm going to let it distill. And then I'm going to record my own video with my very best, answer to that question. And I'm going to start it with something along the lines of, hey, if you're a young single mum that is stay at home and wants to actually inject more income into your life, I was actually looking and doing some research yesterday on the top 3 ways that young millennial single mums are able to generate extra income without interfering with what they're doing in their relationship with their child. So I've done a lot of research on this, and I want to share these with you right now. And then I'd go through it with them. So I can still build value with that audience. I'm not trying to pass those results off as my own. I'm not saying when I was a millennial mum, right? I'm not trying to lie to anybody. But you would still want to watch that if that was your target audience. Just the same way that people still watched my videos when I first came out teaching network marketers. And I was like, hey, if you're a network marketer and you're struggling to get leads, I did some research yesterday, spent the entire morning looking for the most powerful way that people like you and I can get leads. And I've discovered the top 3 that win hands down. So if you want those 3 methods, watch this video. People would still watch that. Thanks for the training. Thanks for the value. No one ever cared that it wasn't me personally that had the results at that point. And then, of course, what starts to happen is, as I was serving that audience, and as you would serve the millennial stay-at-home mums, you start to build a bit of a following. You start to gain some results. Because I can guarantee you, if you get 1,000 YouTube subscribers of millennial mums, some of them are going to want to reach out to you. I love your content. I love your videos. What else do you do? Do you just make, I had the same progression. I've been through this process. I know exactly how it goes. I've had many of my members go through the same thing. You start to build a following, you start to build trust, you build a relationship. People can tell that you care. And they say, hey, Shirley, thank you for the videos. You mentioned you do a business. What is that business? Because now there's trust and they want to work with you. And especially if you're in that audience yourself, like I was a network marketer teaching network marketers, people say, well, Richard, I want to know what network marketing business you're building because I want to work with you. And it was way easier to get signups because I built that web of trust around me and value. So put content out there that if you can serve the audience similar to you, great. If you can't, results won't matter. All that matters is you're getting yourself out there and you're starting to publish that content, and you'll improve. You'll not like your first videos. Nobody does. Don't wait till it's perfect, okay? If you wait till it's perfect, it'll never come because there's no such thing, right? I look at my videos from 6 months ago and go, I can do better. But then I look at them from 6 years ago and go, wow, why did I even bother? Because it led me to here. If you don't start, you can't finish, right? You can't get to that success level. So put that content out there. Who cares if people don't like it? Who cares if you don't like it? What I would do is what I used to do. I used to look at my content, and instead of pulling myself to pieces, I'd say, okay, what's the one standout error that I made there? What's the worst thing that I did? And let me just fix that one thing. And then next time we'll work on one more thing. Otherwise, you feel terrible. You look at your videos and you go, oh, the lighting was terrible. My voice was awful. The background's rubbish. This is rubbish. I did this. And you feel like, oh, I don't even want to do another one. Whereas if you just say one thing I would notice, the first thing I noticed, my energy was low. I'm an introvert naturally. I'm very understated. So I take my energy up 2-3 levels before I do Facebook Lives and videos. I thought when I was being enthusiastic and I always felt like I was being too cheesy. So when I was watching my videos, I would completely reined it in. Hey, it's Richard, and I want to tell you something today. No one's going to listen to that guy, right? Because it doesn't inspire you at all. It doesn't give you energy. It doesn't give you enthusiasm. When you watch my videos now, you feel my passion. You feel the fact that I got something for you. I'm going to give you something good. You should be excited because I'm excited, right? So you need to have that enthusiasm. That's what I corrected. Then the next thing and the next thing. Just use them as stepping stones to improve. So hopefully that'll give you some answers there. That'll give you some help. Research the audience, know their pain points, know what they're asking about, do a bit of research, answer those questions. That'll start to attract people to you. You'll start to get some results. Now you can point to the results. One final point on this, Shirley, that'll help you. Shirley was asking about, if you've just joined us, see a few more of you jumped on, how do you create content if you don't have success? What happens is when you get those first results, it's a snowball effect. Now, I was watching a guy the other day talk about how he made a fortune selling cars. He said, I started with like $100. I bought a really banged up car for $100 because I'd done some research and I knew I could do a few things to it, sell it for $500. I took the $500, I put an offer in on 20 cars that were worth $1,000. I got one, I sold it for $1,000. I kept the $500. So he kept growing and growing that way. And that's the same thing you can do with your lifestyle of your life cycle of your career. When I first sponsored my first person, I tried to create content. Hey, if you've never signed up someone before in your network marketing business, I hadn't until yesterday. Now I have. What did I change? I'm going to tell you about it in this video. How many people want to watch that? Lots, it turns out. I'm thinking to myself, no one's going to watch this. There's people teaching people how to sign up, hundreds of people, thousands of people, making millions. I can teach how to sign up one. No one's going to care. But what I realized was I could make a real connection with people because I was being realistic. And because that is something a lot of people don't ever manage to do in network marketing. They never sign up a single person. Most people sign up less than 10. So when I reached 10 people, hey, who wants to know how to sign up the first 10 people? So that brought me more attention. I got more signups. I got on another leaderboard. Hey, who wants to know how to get on the leaderboard for the first time? So I could start to then point to the results that I was getting and say, I've done this. Let me walk you through what I did. And I could then create larger and larger and larger content up until right now. I'm like, hey, I've signed up nearly 800 people in the business. I've helped people raise over 2 million now in sales in their businesses. That all started with, here's how you sign up your first person. I just use stepping stones as you go along. So, you're not going to go from 0 results to amazing results. There's a pathway in between that, and that's good because it allows you to leverage that in a positive way. So I hope that's helped you, Shirley. Someone's asking, what do you use to record your videos for YouTube? I use it's a Huawei P20 Pro. Huawei P20 Pro, Forza Pudicat, oh, for God's sake, P20 Pro. And when I'm not using that, if you see me kind of like out and about, if I've got the whiteboard or this background, it's my phone camera. And I use an external mic that I clip on. I clip it like here, so it's beneath the camera. I don't need it for this. I've got my, because it's a Facebook Live, I've got my, I've got this this Samsung Meteor mic. But if I'm out and about, I use a GoPro Hero 8. So GoPro Hero 8, because it doesn't shake at all, it's great for that. And the camera, my phone camera, if I'm inside my office, if you see the whiteboard in the video. I'm thinking of getting a new camera, actually. Like, it's a good camera that I've got, but I've seen that like some of the new Samsung ones, they do 4K selfie cameras. More people are getting 4K now. I've thought about getting a big DSLR one. I don't know, maybe, but it is good quality. It's a good camera. I highly recommend it. And you can pick them up for fairly cheap now, those cameras. It'd be worth buying one of these if you like my videos. You can buy one of these, I think, probably second hand, for maybe $100, $150, maybe even less. So if you think about the cost of a camera, if you literally just want to use this and record videos indoors, you know, this is a great simple piece of kit. You could do that for a fraction of the price of a big camera. Let's have a look. Great question. So Andrew is tagging all his team members. Great. How you doing, Andrew? I hope to see team members are here. Marco has a question. Hi, Richard. Hi, Marco. I hope you're doing well, my friend. If I and my team have the same target and we publish the same video content, in your opinion, could it be negative? No, I see what you think by that, right? You don't want to feel like there's like competition within the team. There's just so much audience to go at. It's like, if you think about my audience, there's loads of people that attempt to serve the existing network marketing community, right? When I first started, I would look at these people and I'd be like, oh my goodness, how am I supposed to go up against, you know, the Eric Warrays of the world who've got like a 10, 20-year head start to me? Also, it can be easier for some people too. There's no doubt that you've got to put the work in. But the thing is, you know, there was a time, let's say, for example, on YouTube, where if you were one of the first on YouTube, there was so little conversation, so little competition, you could soak up a whole bunch of viewers. You were like the only one creating content for that audience. You got an accelerated number of subscribers. There was a time on Facebook where there was no Facebook jail. You could literally go friend request 1,000 people if you wanted to, and then start conversations with as many as you want, as many messaging. There was no other box. You went straight to the inbox. There was a time on Facebook ads and Google ads. You could advertise anything you wanted, no guidelines. So there's no doubt that certain people that go earlier have an advantage because there were less restrictions. They didn't have to play by the rules that we play by now. And now they have a huge audience. So if there's a new platform comes out, let's say like a TikTok, someone like Gary Vaynerchuk can just literally make a YouTube video and send an email saying, hey, I'm on TikTok, come follow me. Boom, 5,000 subscribers, right? No effort required because they already put that work in. But what I would say nowadays is it's a good thing that things are more restrictive, because what it does is it actually reduces your competition. Some people just go, oh, that looks too tricky, I won't do it. That gets rid of a whole bunch of people, right? And then even if your team is serving the same target market, what I realized was there's only one of you, Marco. There's only one of your story. There's only one of your personality. So if you're in my group and you're following my content, right, it won't just be the fact that I serve you as a network marketer. It will be something about the way in which I do that has you coming back and consuming my content. Loads of people say to me, two things they normally say to me. I can tell you're a real person and you care. I trust you. Like I can tell in your videos and your content, you're not trying to like premeditate stuff. You go for it, right? You're giving us good stuff. And the second thing people say to me is, you're much more direct than everybody else. Like you jump on somebody else's Facebook Live and you can tell they're killing 10 minutes to try and get as many people on as possible, right? I know you don't want to chit chat. I'll drop stories in. I'll have a laugh with you. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy to laugh at myself and tell stories if I think they'll be humorous or useful or brighten your day. But really, I just want to help you win. I want to see you solve the problem that you've got in your life with your network marketing business. I know I can help you do that, so I just get straight to it. And I realized when I was looking around, and even at the people who have a much larger head start and subscriber base than I do, I'm like, I have like a secret weapon here. I have the secret weapon, and so do you. And that's my personality. I do care. I do want to get straight to it. I do give direct advice, right? I am an honest person. It's the way I was raised, and I believe in karma. So lying for me is not something that's acceptable. So when I looked around at my competition doing all or some or one of these things, I was like, oh, okay, there's a space for me. And it'll be the same with you, Marco, with your team members and with you. Even if you're going for the same audience, there'll be members of that audience that connect with you that wouldn't even pay attention to some of your team, and vice versa. So as long as you're not going for something really, really obscure, like we want to go for 25-year-old chess players who like to eat pizza on a Saturday, there's only 25 of them in the world. As long as you're going for a fairly large audience, I know you're in the HBA, right? So there's some tests that I give you. Run those tests on your audience, and if you see those, if you can tick those off, you'll see there's enough of a pie for it to all go out. Plenty of slices to go around, so don't worry about that. Just be yourself, play true to your personality, tell stories that are true about yourself, and people will be attracted to that wouldn't follow anybody else. You know, I talk about my upbringing, I talk about, you know, family first, I talk about my dog, you know, I talk about I love jiu-jitsu, I talk about the 328 no's, losing a business. I talk about all these things with you. That's us building a relationship. So now you look at somebody else and you go, well, I don't like this girl over here. This girl over here is a party animal. You know, doesn't really, she's always chattering on and on and on. I like Richard better. Someone's going to say the same thing to you, Marco, right? They're going to find your personality appealing. So play to that strength. Let's have a look. Andrew's got a question. How you doing, buddy? Good day, Andrew. Good day, Richard, he says. What would you say to someone who says that they have consistent reach out and invitation, but always get rejections and no reply? Okay, so two parts to that question there. Get rejections and no reply, two different things. So if they're not getting, because I know you've faced this, right? I know everybody's faced this who's on this call, right? Anybody that's prospecting, some point we're like, why can't I get more responses? That's the first thing to correct. If they're not getting enough replies, it's going to be one of two things. It has to be. It has to be one of three things. The people that they're targeting, they're trying to sell steak to vegetarians, so they're not going to bother to reply. It makes no sense to them. Number two, their message is not appealing. Maybe they're trying to pitch them too soon. Maybe they're being too spammy. Maybe they're being too pressury. You know what I mean? Take a look at the message and be like, hang on a minute, is this personal enough, or is it too salesy? And number three, what it probably is most likely to be is their profile isn't set up correctly. So what's the first thing that anybody does before they decide to reply to somebody that they're either not friends with or they don't recognize? I know what I do. I click on that person's profile. Who is Andrew, right? Andrew sent me a message. First thing I do is, who is Andrew? Because if Richard Branson, if there was some way I could know that Richard Branson was the person messaging me, right? There was a way of checking that. I know there isn't, but let's say there was. Even if his message isn't that great, even if I feel it's a bit pitchy, Richard Branson wants me to work with him, I'm going to answer that question, right? I'm going to be like, yes, I want to take a look at that. If you don't know who Richard Branson is, he's a famous British entrepreneur who started the Virgin Company, right? He's a highly successful entrepreneur who I know I could learn a lot from. So I'm going to be like, I'm all ears if this guy's messaging me, right? So we need to play that same type of effect by having an attractive profile. Look at your profile through objective glasses. If you were a prospect and your message landed in their inbox and they clicked on you, you can even do it in Facebook. It'll say view as. You go to your profile and it will say view as, and you can view it as a member of the public. So someone who's not friends with you, you can see that. Or if they're already friends with you, just take a look. What would you think of you? Would you think this person looks like someone who is worth responding to? When I say attractive, I don't mean in like looks. I mean like, is it a nice cover photo? Is it a clear, friendly image of you with a smiling face in your profile? The things you're posting about, are they congruent with who you are as a person? And if you're negative, if you're talking about politics all day and you're bashing people and your bio is something flippant or even offensive, and you've got some blurry photo of you from 30 years ago, or it's some cartoon character, and your cover photo is like a quote that's like all stretched out and doesn't fit properly, what would you respond to that person? I wouldn't. I'd think it's a spam account. Or I'd be like, this person doesn't know who they are. They seem offensive. There's not even a proper clear image of them. It's like they're trying to hide something. No, I don't want to respond to that person. So make sure the profile is attractive. Make sure the message is nice and simple, and make sure you're targeting the right type of person. Now, if they're getting replies back for the second part of that question, and they're getting lots of rejections saying, no, I'm not interested, then that's going to be that they're targeting the wrong people. They need to look at their target audience. Because tell you what I used to do, I used to get a good response from. When I was in a travel company, travel gives you a good advantage in this particular method, I would say. Sometimes health and wellness, but definitely travel. Because what I discovered was a lot of people use travel photos for their profile or their cover photo. Now, profile and cover photos are public. So you don't have to be friends with someone and to be able to see all their photos, like you have to see their personal photos of your friend. To see someone's cover photo and profile photo, that's public. You click on their name, you see their cover, you see their profile. And I started to see that a lot of people, when I would look at friends of friends, they would have a lot of them, maybe 2 or 3 out of 10, maybe even more, would have some kind of picture of them on a beach or traveling, obviously, somewhere on vacation. So I'm like, this is a great way in. So I would message them, and let's say it's Andrew, and I would say, hey, Andrew, I use Facebook to actually look for new partners in my travel project. I noticed through a friend of a friend that you have lots of travel pictures on your profile, on your cover photo. That says me you probably like to travel. Are you someone that likes to travel? And if so, would you be at all open to taking a look at a travel project that fits people with that interest? Something along those lines. I'm a little bit rusty with my scripts, but something along those lines. I got a bunch of responses because it would raise their curiosity, and it made sense. I wouldn't say something like, I stumbled across your profile on social media. Like, they go to themselves. I don't stumble across anybody's profile. I look at people, like I look at, what do people do when they look at profiles online? They look at someone who they think is attractive. They look at someone who they used to know. They look at someone who's tagged in a picture of a friend of theirs. They look at someone who's a mutual friend. No wonder I stumbled across your profile. That doesn't work. So you may as well say it like it is. So I did. Hey, I'm a recruiter. I used to say, I'm a recruiter working on a travel project. I use Facebook to find new potential partners for this project. I saw your profile through a friend of a friend, because they're going to see friends in common. They're going to see that. I noticed you have a couple of travel photos in your profile, as your profile or as your cover photo. Are you somebody that likes travel? And if you are, would all be open for me to send you a bit of info on here about this travel project? I got loads of people because they're like, I do like travel, so they want to answer the question. And it makes sense how you found me, Richard. Okay, you use Facebook to search people out. Okay, that makes sense. And now they're curious because they like travel. They're like, what project? So I'd get loads of responses. I do like travel, or what project? I'd get that. I got loads of responses. So use that type of specificity. That's how specific targeting works best. If you can see a picture of someone who's, exercising in their profile, their cover photo, or they're looking at healthy eating. Hey, I'm a recruiter in a health and wellness company, or I'm a representative in a health and wellness company. I noticed that you like to keep in great shape from your profile photo. I use Facebook to find people who are interested in health and fitness, and then I send them information about this health and wellness project. Would you be at all open for me to send you some info about a health and wellness project if it is something you're interested in? It's very hard to say no to that or ignore that. Very curious evoking, right? So that's a great way of suggestion. I hope was that helpful, Andrew? Hopefully that was helpful. Someone says, Richard, what do you think about using groove funnels? I've never heard of them. I'll go Google them while we're on here. I don't usually do researchy stuff. Groove funnels. That's our official website. Let's take a look. Get Groove pages and Groove sell for free. No credit required forever. I never like that. They're going to give you something for free and never charge you for it. That doesn't work. Like pure economics, right? Here's a car. It's free. Never going to cost you anything. How long before I go out of business as a car salesman? How useless is my car for me to wanting to give it for free? Or what's the catch? No one's giving away stuff for free, like, unless it's a trial. So let's have a look what they're saying. The fastest growing funnel building platform. Okay, so I mean, maybe it's good, maybe it's not. Free for a limited time only. No, I don't want anything that's free. So when someone offers me something that's free, I don't want it, because there's only going to be one or two things that happen if it's free. It's going to go out of business. One of three things. It's going to go out of business because no one's paying staff or having servers or hosting software or building or answering support questions for free. They need profit. Number two, there's going to be monetization added at some point in time. There's going to be extra things they want you to buy, which they feel confident you're going to need so they can upsell you. Or number three, the aftercare support and the product itself is going to be shocking. Because think about it. If your network marketing company stopped paying you any commission, how much longer would you continue promoting that company? We're not going to pay you anything. It's a free product. It's a free service. No commission. You'd be like, well, I don't want to do this anymore, right? You'd lose interest. Same with any company. So maybe there's something that I'm missing on here. I love ClickFunnels. Do you know what I mean? I've always been someone who's I don't view expenditure like a member of the public. I view it like a business owner. So think about this, okay? Expenditure is only ROI. That's what you're going to look at. Break it down simple. I look at ROI and my belief in that ROI. ROI means return on investment. Am I going to lose money on this? Am I going to make money? What is the benefit? What is the return that I receive on my financial or time investment? That's the only equation that matters to me when I'm making decisions. And I'm making decisions based off my big goal. Is it moving me closer or further away? That's it. Will this move me closer and further away to my goal? If I feel it will move me closer, do I believe that the time and energy and money I'm investing in this, will it give me a return? Okay. So I would look at that and I would say, you know, on anything, what is my belief that this is going to be good? I don't care if someone wants to charge me $50 instead of $90. I'm not interested in saving the $50. I'm just not interested, because I don't want to make an expensive mistake. And typically, cheap and free are the most expensive things you'll ever come across. Something that you typically feel is expensive ends up being the best ROI. There's a reason that my program isn't cheap, because I know what it's worth. I know what it took me years to get it, and I know the results that it gets. So why would I cheapen that product? I'm going to charge what it's worth. It's worth a lot more. I give a great deal, but I know that that product gets results. Fact, it's all over my website. I have pages and pages of results, right? I know what energy and effort it took me to create that system. I've been through it myself. So many other people have been and continue to do so and get amazing results. So why would I sell that off for anything less than it was worth? If I've got a Ferrari, why would I sell it for the same price as a banged up Ford? There's no real reason for me to do that. Like, it's not fair to me. Why would I sell that Ferrari for a Ford price? It's not going to work. So someone's put that as a lifetime paid subscription. Again, I don't like lifetime subscriptions to stuff in services like that, because that service, if it grows, let's say it gets 100,000 lifetime subscribers. They've paid the money. They're going to pay nothing else. That company is going to eat through that money eventually, paying its support staff, paying its servers, paying, you know, for its servers, paying for its online security certificates. It's updating its its stuff. There's going to be a business. It's a business, right? It costs money on a regular basis to maintain a business. You've got to speculate to accumulate. So I don't like the model when someone says you can pay for it in full and never pay for it again, but will continue to serve you forever. Like, what's going to happen 10 years down the road? And I don't know if this company's like this. I'm just answering the question, my personal opinion on something like that. The reason that I like ClickFunnels is it's reassuringly not cheap. I'm like, this business is making money. This business is making profit. They're getting ROI on me. So they're going to continue to serve me well because I'm worth something to them. Like if I suddenly start to cancel subscription and their members start to cancel subscriptions, it's going to hurt their bottom line. If they got every cent they're going to get from me, what need is there to continue to serve me? Why would they have this huge pot of money and see it decline and decline and decline and decline down to nothing? They're not going to want to do that. They're going to want to charge me extra for extra services, extra things that I need, so I buy them. So I like ClickFunnels. That's my preference. It's built by marketers, for marketers. I know they're making, well, I would assume that that gentleman with the numbers that he's doing is making great profits in that business. So for me, it's as safe as it's going to get. Like, you have to take some kind of risk. It's not a business that I own, so there's always some kind of risk. But I like to know that my funnels, my effort, my work, the business that I'm building, I want it somewhere where I feel that that's secure, where it's going to be looked after, so there's an ROI. I mean, when I signed up to ClickFunnels for like $300 or $100, whatever package I started at, you know, I got a fairly quick ROI on that. Fairly quickly, I was making, I mean, how many people do you have to sponsor in a month to make $97? 3 or 4, 1 a week, something like that. And I knew when I saw the system that, listen, if I put a bit of effort into that and I can learn how to create a decent funnel, have a decent audience, you know, what I turned into HBA, right, my lessons in that, if I can do that, I back myself to get a couple of people a month. I'm going to back myself to do that. And I did. And of course, it snowballed from there. So it may be a good system. It may be a good company. I've never looked outside of ClickFunnels. You know, once I'm happy with something, as long as they're serving me, as long as the system is functioning fine, I want to feel that it's solid. I want to feel that it's, you know, it's something that's secure. So that's always my thoughts on things like that. So any questions? I have a little bit of time left. If you have something, it's a good point. Thanks. You're welcome. Just look at your ROI. Look at what you expect to get back from it. Look at the security you feel it's got. You know, cheap and free is always the most expensive because you just have to redo it the right way. Any other questions? So I still see a bunch of you are on here. Don't be shy. You can tell I give detailed answers to these questions, right? If there's something you need, let me know. We're in a safe environment in here. This isn't a public group. People can't see the posts in here. People can't see the questions that you've asked unless they're the network marketers that have been accepted into this group. So if you have a question, if you're not getting the help that you need, or even if you are, you're curious about an alternative approach, lead generation, recruiting, time management, mindset, problem with an upline, problem with a downline, I've been through it all. So if you have something you're like, yeah, I'm curious to know what Richard would think about this, just type it in the comments. I'm yours once a week, Thursdays. So I'm happy to answer that. I'm going to give it like another 20, 30 seconds. If I don't see any questions come through, we'll leave it there. If I do, I will give you my direct answer. So you can benefit and you can take practical application right here and now to get the results that you want, which is what we want. I like you when you've been on my calls, videos, podcasts, anything, to be like, I have something useful I can think about and change my mindset, or I can go and apply it straight away and get a better result in my business. So how are we doing? I don't see any more questions coming through. These are some great questions. Thank you to those of you that have asked me. I will go back into the group in a second. I know some of you, if you didn't accept permissions for the comments, I just see you as Facebook user. So I can't thank you personally, but I can thank Andrew, Aisha, Marco. I can thank Shirley. I see you've asked questions. And those of you that have asked and I haven't seen the names, I'll be back in there to do that. Okay, so no additional questions. That means I've answered them all. Oh, someone's asked me. Aisha's got a question. Richard, do you mind giving some examples regarding the three secrets to reveal an asset bait? So this is a HBA question. If you're in my HBA program, I teach you a structure that's the best at attracting people. And one of the first steps in that is your asset bait. Okay, so this is if I just give you a basic term, it's going to be the main offer that you use that attracts people to you, has them want to see your information, and for you to know that they're specifically interested in what you've got. There's ways of doing that. And a small part of that is you want to reveal 3 secrets to people in that asset bait, so it gives them a reason to watch, right? So it's a simple solution to that. So, you know, in the module where I'm teaching you the asset bait, I'm talking about you researching in a certain way your audience, right? Your audience is going to give you the 3 secrets. You don't need to think of these things. the research that I instruct you to do, and you've got PDFs and exercises to go through, right? Go through that exercise and the audience will give you those secrets. They will do it for you. That's the beauty of that system. You do the work, the onus is on you to do the work, but the way in which you do that work and the guesswork that perhaps you've had to have for now, we can remove that by letting the market drive your growth. So it isn't by accident. If we go to, let's go to my funnel. If we go here, I think I can share my screen with you. I think I'll figure that out. So when I'm talking about on my opt-in, I'm talking about growing a high-performing team. I'm talking about loyal customer base. I'm talking about predictable modern systems and automation. I also talk about in another capture page, which I'm split testing, I talk about like lead generation. I talk about how you can get a regular flow of leads. I talk about the secrets of every 6- and 7-figure earner. These things I didn't just like magic up, right? These are what my audience have told me that they want. I survey my audience. I go in different places and I give you the PDF to do that, right? How you can actually extract information from your audience, and then your audience will show you what the most popular challenges are that they're trying to face. So this stuff writes itself. So when I create a sales funnel, when I create asset bait, when I bring out a video, when I bring out anything, that's not just, in my opinion, something that I think would be useful for you. Sometimes it is, very rarely, but it's always been backed up by my audience who've been asking for it. So, I was having trouble connecting the secrets to my business. It's a reverse process. So what you've got to think about is what your business does, not what it is. I think about my HBA program. I'm like, okay, what is my ultimate aim with HBA? I want to create a whole army of high-performing authority network marketers. These are network marketers that are super confident, well-trained. They haven't had to do all the rubbishy stuff that they're supposed to do. They've had a faster route to the top. They've got a team that's well-trained. They have a team it's smooth. They're on it. They're duplicating. They've got leads coming in on a daily basis. They've got conversions happening, so they're getting team members every single day and new customer sales. Their team is following suit and doing the same. And they're also building security outside of just their network marketing business. They also have their own following. They have their own audience. They have maybe a YouTube subscriber base, a podcast subscriber base, an email list. They have all these assets that are building security into their business while they're feeding some of that into this high-performing network marketing business. So I'm like, okay, that's the end result. And then I work backwards from there. What do I need to teach you to make sure that you can generate leads at will, that you can convert them to sales and signups, that you understand how to gel together what you're doing with your network marketing business and how to duplicate that? So I teach that in the modules. And then I'm like, okay, how do I promote this? Well, I need to let people know little snippets of what this program's about, the main things that they want to know. What do they want to know? They want to know how they can automate their business. They want to know how they can avoid all the rubbish that they're being told to do. They want to know how they can feel good about things, how they can be a business owner. So that's what I talk about in my content. So what this means is, I know that's just a general overview, but what it means is my YouTube content, my podcast content, the people I'm speaking to, the adverts that I run, it's attracting network marketers that specifically want to automate and systemize their business. They want to be a professional. They don't want to go through their friends and family for the 50th time. They don't want to be seen as an amateur. They don't want to have to go groveling cap in hand, please will you buy some of my berry because I need to make a quota this month. They don't want to have to buy their own 20 volumes of their auto ship just to hit a rank or convince their team to do the same. They want this high performing team, this system, this mechanism that works with or without them, and everybody's performing well and getting ranks and moving through the business. So it attracts those type of people. So I know that my product is going to be for them. If you like my YouTube content, my podcast content, my Facebook Lives, you'll love my program because it's a far more detailed, more practical, laid out version of what my free stuff is. It's broken down step by step, exactly how you go from A to B. So if you think about that, you should think about what your business is going to do for them or the product that you're offering. What is it that you really want to help them with? Okay, so you want to help them with X, Y, Z. Okay, how can you now communicate that through your content? So like we did before with the millennial mums, right? I would want to have millennial mums be in charge of two things, their time and their money. So I would go with something like, hey, if you're a millennial mum that wants to earn more than a full-time income on less than part-time hours, so you can spend quality time with your children and gain the respect that maybe you don't feel you've got right now financially, I can teach you that. Number one secret. Let's have a look. What would I teach them? I would obviously research this, but I'm going to be thinking it's along the lines of the 3 essential steps that any millennial mum can take to generating an additional 4-figure income within 60 days. Something like that. Number 2, the secrets of all 6- and 7-figure mums and how they took those initial steps in their business. I'm going to go through and I'm going to research. And then on the video, what am I going to talk about? I'm going to answer those questions. Okay, here's the first 2 steps that every 6- and 7-figure earner I've ever found who's also a single mom. Here's what she said was the first 2 important steps to take. I'm going to answer that. And I'm going to answer everything else. And I'm going to leave a gap at the end that says, you know what, I've given you some brief information that was hopefully helpful to you, but we need to dive deeper. I need to dive deeper on your individual situation, on your skills, on what you may feel is still holding you back. I can do that on a call with you, or I can do that in this web class. And then I'm going to give them an even more detailed overview, and then I'm going to sell the product. It's simple to do. I did this with travel. I did this with health and wellness. I did this with silver. Like one of the first companies I was in it sold silver assets, like a silver numismatic coins. I knew nothing about that. What did I find out? I found out that the majority of people aren't putting anything by. I found out the majority of people just keep money in a bank account. Inflation is eating up any growth that they're getting, right? So I was able to go to an audience, and I started with small business owners, and I was like, small business owners have got some kind of income coming in. They're leaving it in their bank account, and it's losing money for them. So I went to small business owners and I went, hey, how about we take a small percentage of your profits and we invest that in an appreciating asset that doesn't require you to risk anything because it's physical, you own it, you can always sell it on, and you can wait to the value to rise. And instead of just that money getting eaten up in your bank account with inflation, this will be a smart choice for you. So I found a bunch of people that wanted to do that. So I started to find people who were like, yeah, and I just got them on an auto ship. I was like, hey, how many of these silver coins do you want a month? I get 5, you can get 3, you can get 2, or you can just get 1. And people would set up an auto ship, and that was our product in that company, and they would get an auto ship of this silver product. Of course, people would talk about, what is that you've got? You've got a case full of silver or whatever, right? People, how did you do that? It's just like they were able to then, people are asking me about this. Well, if you want to promote it, I can upgrade your account. Anybody that buys that silver from you, they get the same price that you do, but the company's happy to pay for the referral. It was dead simple, dead simple, right? So I was able to craft a presentation based on the same things that I teach now, like how small business owners can take a slice of their profits that are being eaten up in their bank accounts anyway and convert them into an appreciating asset without any risk. That's a strong pitch, right? 3 secrets I'm going to talk to you about. The overlooked metal that is waiting to boom in value, and should be a part of your portfolio. Number 2, if you're not putting X amount, if you're not going to have at least $1 million in assets when you retire, the number 1 recommendation I can make to you is point number 2. So I gained a lot of people, a lot of traction wanting to hear what I had to say. And I was able to actually start to build a whole bunch of people interested in that. In fact, we ended up taking over like networking things as well. Like people that go to weekly networking events. First of all, it was just me in those networking events trying to sell the silver. Before I knew, I didn't have to go to any because I had a whole bunch of people selling the silver. People would come to me and they would pitch me. Right, I can tell you how to take a bunch of your profits. And I was like, have you watched the presentation? Yes. Do you recognize my voice? it's your presentation. I'm like, I did that presentation. You're in my team. Welcome. So it was a cool feeling to use that online system. I was able to reach far and wide. I did some really cool stuff, just starting out online, which is what's in my HBA program. The second week I'd signed up, I was taking the weekly call for the UK. Like I was taking the call, like the opportunity presentation. I was doing that live every week for anybody's prospects, and people were like, "Why are you doing that? Like hardly any of the prospects are going to be yours." But you've got to understand that you're weaving, like you're putting these pieces of the jigsaw. And I was like, what do I lack? And I was brutally honest with myself, and I'm like, I lack credibility in this field. Like no one sees me as a network marketer. No one sees me as having anything to do with silver at the time when I was in that company. So how can I inject credibility in what I'm doing? I was like, well, I can share the credibility of people doing better than me. If I can get around those people, if I can buy their programs, if I can get on stage with them, if I can be a part of the company, it will lend their credibility to me. Like, how cool does it sound when somebody says, I work at Google? I mean, they could, I mean, no disrespect, but they could have the barest, worst, non-attractive job in the world. They could empty the litter bins at Google, right? Nothing wrong with that. Hey, I've done all sorts I used to make sandwiches for a living when I first started out. There's nothing, I'm not the guy who would ever look down on somebody that's making an honest living. I think that's stupid because there's so many people being dishonest out there. If someone's not ambitious, they want to just empty bins, they want to make sandwiches, whatever, good, contributing they're contributing to the taxes that all of you and I pay. So I respect those people, but it isn't really a job that you would perhaps boast about, right? But if you say I work at Google, straight away they go, wow, you work at Google? There's a lending of an authority from the larger body. Just the same as people now, thankfully, say about my product, oh, I'm going through HBA with Richard Mathew. The 10 years worth of credibility and effort and energy that I've put into that product and the results you can show people, it's like I wouldn't say it's a seal of approval or a stamp of approval, but it's like, oh, wow, you're going through that program? Oh, now I see you in elevated knowledge and elevated results, right? Same thing I wanted to do. Okay, it's an hour out my time every week to do this presentation. I'm new, probably hardly anybody's going to be on the call. But what did it get me? It got me a screenshot of me doing a live presentation. Hey, I'm the guy that's delivering the live call to the entire international market here in the UK. And all of a sudden, everybody goes, wow, that's an official thing that Richard is doing. What do they say? Well, he must be respected and trusted to do that. I'm now transferring and borrowing that trust and transferring it to them. So that's a bit of an insider tip for you there. Look for opportunities where you may, as long as it's not going to cost you anything that you can't afford. I could afford to give that 1 hour of time. I'm like, this is going to have a knock-on effect and play the bigger game. Are there opportunities? Are there programs you could buy? Are there people you could get next to? Is there something you could leverage that you're not leveraging that would allow you to start to show that you're progressing, right? You want to leverage that stuff. So hopefully that was useful. Alicia says thank you. So I hope that sounds like it was useful. I hope it was useful. Any more questions? I got maybe time for one more if you have time to type it. I will answer the one more question. Otherwise, we'll call it a day there. Ask me anything. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be specific about network marketing. I'm a human being. If you want to know how I balance other things in my life, or if you're interested in anything else, I'm an open book. If I'm not comfortable answering, I'll just say, I don't want to answer. So if I am comfortable answering, I'll give you a direct and honest answer. So I got all sorts of stories and memories and experiences in this industry, and ups and downs and mistakes I made and things I'm so glad that I stumbled on and discovered, and people that have helped me. You can ask me anything about this industry, and I'll give you a direct and to the point answer to help you reach your decision that's right for you. So anybody got any more questions? Anything they're curious about asking me? Anything they're struggling with? Anything you want to know? Something I can help you with? So here we have a question, and I appreciate your vulnerability. Ask the question. Just like I will jump over and I'll see who asked this in a second in the group.